All right, it's learning time, Stingrays. Hope you didn't miss me yesterday. But today, it's going to incorporate yesterday and today's lesson all in one. So, yesterday, if you want to think of it in terms of a circle, fractions, decimals, percents, I had you go in one direction. Today's lesson, oh, that's terribly. Green don't work. So, I had you go in one direction. Not the band. Never the band. I had to go in one direction. Today, you'll be going in the opposite direction. So if yesterday you did decimals to percents, today you'll do percent to decimal. But on my video here, I'm going to show you both of them together. Sorry. This is brilliant camera work. Let's start off with, let's do fractions. Okay, fractions. So I'm going to pick an easy one. The fraction 3/4. Now, I'm going to tell you the easiest way to do it. I'm not going to make it hard on you. I'm not going to make you do it long division style. I'm just going to tell you, most of you have a calculator. I doubt if you don't. You have a computer, so you have a calculator. 3/4. If I wanted to take the fraction 3/4, turn it into a decimal simply on your calculator, divide 3 by 4. Divide 3 by 4. And I know it's easily done. 0.75. Easy as that. Just use your calculator. Divide. If you see the fraction bar, it literally means divide. So that's why I always ask you, like, when we see a number next to a variable, I ask you, do you see a division bar? Because that indicates, or do you see a fraction bar? Because that indicates division. So, we see a fraction bar. That indicates division. I literally just want you to do division. 3 divided by 4, 0.75. That got us to the decimal. Okay? Now, before I do this, I want to do this. Okay? So let's say I have decimal 68. Okay? The decimal I have here for my example is 68.68. Okay? Now, convert that to percentage. It's super easy. All I have to do is take this decimal, move it once, move it twice. Literally just slide it over 1, 2. And I get 68. If you want to see it with the decimal, this is where the decimal is. Okay, that's a terrible decimal. This is where the decimal is. 68%. Okay, so going from decimal to percent, slide the decimal over 2 times and you literally get your number right there. So if it were 0.681, it wouldn't slide over a third time. It never slides over 3 times. It always slides over once. Okay? So this would be 68.1%. I know yesterday we had an example. It was, what was it? I think it was 1.25. And you slide it over twice. That's 125%. If it were 0.125, you slide over 2 times. That's 12.5%. Okay? So here we go. Using now this information we know about decimal to percent, which we just did, let's go back up here. Okay? Now, I could try to overcomplicate it if I wanted to, but simply put, stop picking your nose. If I know 0.75 is the decimal version of the fraction, I can then go from decimal to percent. Just slide this over 2 times, and I end up with 75%. There you go. Fraction to percent. Unfortunately, to go to fraction to percent, you're going to have to go through decimal to get there first, because you're going to divide and then from there slide over. So, we did decimal to percent. Now we're going to deal with the hard part, going into a fraction. Everybody hates it. I know it's complicated, but you can get it. Okay? I'm going to go back to my original example. 68, 0.68. 0.68. Does it stop at the 10th spot? No, there's another number after that. It stops at the 100th spot. So if it stops at the 100th spot, I'll be even more clear like I was when we were there. This is the 10th spot. First spot after the decimal, the 10th spot. This is the second spot after the decimal, the 100th spot. There was nothing after it, so it doesn't go into the 1000th spot. So being that the 0.68, I'll even erase this so we can get it a little more clear. Being that the 0.68 stops at the 100th spot, you put it over 100. Now I would like you to simplify. Divide by 2 would get us 34 and 50. Those are both still even, so I'm going to do it again. I get 16 and 25, and I believe we can stop there. So at the simplest version is 16 over 25. If you put this, and you're showing me the fact that you understand that it goes over 100, I'm okay with that. I would prefer this. My sigmas, I want this. Okay, I want to see you understanding full simplification. Last one. Percent. Let's use, you know what? Let's use a hard one. I'm going to use 137%. Okay? 137%. Now, up here, in order to go to decimal to percent, I slid the decimal place over 2 times. Not different, just backwards. So if I want to go from percent to decimal, slide the decimal back over 2 times. So technically there's no decimal. Mr. Nugent, there's no decimal, it's just 137. Technically, there's always a decimal, you just can't see it. Okay? Let me angle it down, so make it a little easier on you. So, I'm going to slide that decimal now over 2 times the opposite direction, because I'm going decimal, percent to decimal. So 137% as a decimal, 1.37. Because think about it, 137% means I have one whole. If I have 100%, I have one. So I have 100%, and 37%. Okay, so I have one whole pizza and 37% of another pizza. I have 137% of a pizza. Okay? Not a fraction. Okay, so percent, because you're going to need this for tomorrow. So, percent, no matter what, is always over 100. It's always over 100. También? No. Siempre? I don't know. I forgot what always was. So, percent is always over 100. I'm even going to put a big sign right here that says percent is always over 100. No matter what it is. Like in our example, it's 137%. That is 137 over 100. Percent is always over 100, no matter what it is. If it's 250%, over 100. Okay? If it's 1,005%, over 100. Okay? Percent, always over 100. Always. Okay? Hopefully that wasn't disastrous.